The guys over at FAW, Future Audio Workshop, have hooked me up with Circle 2. It's a really good new synth. I'm going to do a quick basic overview of it. I'm going to go through the signal flow, talk a little bit about the oscillators. There's some new oscillators in here that I've never used before, and then I'm just going to get down to some general patch design, just show you what I can do with it. I will say quickly, I've only been using this for about an hour and I'm really impressed. It's got real good sound quality overall. It's very intuitive. They've done a good job on the GUI. I've been reading through the start of the manual, and they're basing this on I'd hasten to say a basic GUI, in regards to that they haven't tried to emulate old analog synths or anything like that. They've kept it nice and simple. Bright colours really do help. It's a drag and drop modulation system, which I'm a massive fan of. A lot of people who are starting out in sound design can get bogged down by matrix sections and trying to work out what parameters they've got modulated and which ones they haven't. So yeah, as I say, I'm going to do a real quick overview. I'm going to switch to this scene for you so you can see it a lot clearer. I've just loaded up a new patch up here. That's what you get. Starts off with one of these VPS oscillators. We'll talk through them in a section. Just go over the basic architecture of the sound. What it is, it's a 4 oscillator plus a noise source synthesizer. You've got the choice of 3 different synthesis engines, if you like. You've got your basic analog oscillator. This is real straightforward. This is going to be quite common to anybody that's used a synthesizer in the past. You've got a choice between sine, saw, square and a triangle. When you're on a triangle or a square, you've got the choice of additional pulse width. You can obviously modulate this to get the classic pulse width mod sound. You've got coarse and fine pitch sync, which then syncs this to the oscillator below if you have one below it, or a sub oscillator button. I think, if I'm right, this automatically pitches it down 2 octaves. So yeah, that's the analog oscillator, nice and straightforward. I'll play some of the basic waves so you can hear them. Let's turn it up a bit. Sine, saw, square, triangle. Triangle's nice and hollow. I like a nice deep triangle. I generally use triangles for basses and stuff along with square waves. Yeah, you can see quite close up, they are based on analog waveforms. They've got little raspy edges. I'm sure if we could zoom in on the waveform, if there was a waveform display, it wouldn't just be your bog standard sharp edge waveforms. I would imagine they are based on analog waveforms. So yeah, that covers the analog oscillator. You've got a wavetable oscillator. There's a lot of new synths out nowadays that are making full use of these wavetables and the power to morph between waves. FAW Circle 2 is no different. Bearing in mind you've got 4 oscillators. Each one of these you can choose to have either analog, wavetable or the VPS, which we'll come to in a bit. If you're on a wavetable mode, you've got the same basic controls. You've got coarse pitch, fine pitch, sync and the sub mode again. But you have the choice of choosing between 2 waveforms, one on the top and one on the bottom. All you do is click on the name of the top one or the bottom one, and then it shows you graphically the waveforms what you can pitch. Now I've been playing around with some of these, and some of these are really nice. They've got some nice gritty tones to them if you pitch them down a lot. This is one I was playing with earlier, by Copenhagen. So yeah, I've chose that Copenhagen. This little dial here, you can see exactly what it's doing. It gives you the choice to play either one waveform on its own if it's to the top, or another waveform on its own if it's at the bottom. That one's on a triangle wave. You can have a dead mix of the 2, or this is where you're going to get real fun in a bit. We're going to be modulating this with envelopes and LFOs to give you that sort of classic morphing feel between 2 waveforms, which is really popular, as I say, with Serum, and massive is the original wavetable synth. Bear with me a sec. Just make sure no one's on the chat. If you are watching this back on YouTube, there will be a link in the description that will get you to FAW Circle's website. Go ahead and download it. I believe there's a free download on there that you can have a play around with it before you choose to buy it. But yeah, so as I say, that Copenhagen waveform, you pitch it down. You can see the fun we're going to have modulating these with LFOs. I say envelopes mainly I use on wavetables to give it a nice smooth transition between the two. Again, I haven't read the manual through fully, but I do believe, they'll probably correct me if I'm wrong, that they're planning on in the future allowing you to bring your own waves into this somehow. Again, I haven't really read the manual through, I've just sort of turned it on and playing with it as I always do with a new synth. But yeah, that'll be a neat feature if you can bring your own waves in here and mess around with them. So that covers the wavetable oscillator. So choice between two waves, pick them out of this bunch here, morph between the two, coarse, fine, sync and sub. Real straightforward. This VPS oscillator is interesting. I've just got the manual open. If you bear with me, I'll get to it. I can tell you exactly how they describe it. Analog wavetable VPS oscillator. Okay, I think this is more like an additive synthesizer in regards to that it just uses sine waves. It says in the manual, it says the VPS oscillator works by gluing together a pair of sine waves with specified frequencies. What I can get from this is that it's really hard for me to explain. I mean, the controls are really basic. You've got control over the horizontal, it calls it, and the vertical partials are what I'm liking it to something like Harmer or Razor. I might be wrong, but they're stating it as a new type of oscillator. So yeah, it says the VPS oscillator works by gluing together a pair of sine waves with specified frequencies via its two parameters, which control the frequencies of the sine waves and the location of which they are glued. The horizontal one controls the location of where they are glued together. It's pretty much bipolar and dead center. It's like a detune almost to these partials. You can modulate that, it's going to sound a lot like pulse width modulation. And the vertical, it says, controls the frequencies of the oscillator's component sine waves. So this is like changing the pitch of the sine waves. The lower to the left, the deeper they are. Get some nice raspy feedbacky sort of sounds from this. I say, I'm totally new to this VPS system. The controls are very basic with this horizontal and vertical. I'm quite sure that how you're going to get different timbres and sounds from this oscillator is going to be with the modulation sources. Wherever you have a quick envelope to flick around the vertical round while an LFO is modulating the horizontal. We'll probably have a play around with that in a bit. But yeah, I didn't want to dwell too long on everything. I wanted to just get down to making some sounds. So yeah, that's pretty much the three oscillators in a nutshell. You've then got another oscillator which is a noise source. It's real basic. Let's turn that off. The noise source, you've got a choice of low noise or high noise. It's just pretty much putting a low pass filter or a high pass filter. This is the low noise. Goes up to 1300 Hz. Nice raspy gritty sort of noise source, that's what I like. Let me get rid of this a second. Yeah, so basic noise source, a feedback source. You haven't got any choice of where the feedback comes in the signal chain. It takes the output of the oscillator section, which is these 4 or 5 oscillators, feeds it back into itself. You can change the pitch of the signal as it's coming back in to give some nice lower tones. Real straightforward, basic feedback source. Okay, once we've done that, then you go into this center section. I forget how they worded this. Again, if you bear with me, I'll probably go back. They name the 3 sections differently to how you would, well, to how I would personally name them. Modifier modules, that makes sense. The first section, this section on the left, they've called the source modules, which is obviously your sound sources. Second section, B, is the modifier modules. As you would have think, it's how you're going to modify the sound before it gets modulated, or even after if you've already modulated some of these parameters. Again, really intuitive, really straightforward. We'll work our way down top to bottom. You've got a mixer section in the top. As you turn oscillators on, it automatically pops them into this mixer section. Then you've got control of the overall output. Same goes for all 4 oscillators, the noise source and the feedback. Okay, everything's modulatable. If it's got a little dot under here, you can modulate it. The mouth filter, this is a real neat. Let me get something in here a bit gritty. Let's put pitch down saw wave. Basic saw wave with an analog oscillator. This mouth filter is a unit on its own. It's not classed as a filter. What it is, it's a pair of bandpass filters moving with each other. If anybody's into sound design knows that that's how you get these vowely sort of sounds. Any vowel filters built into synth engines, that's all they are. A series of peaks on an EQ or a filter moving around certain frequencies that give you the vowely sounds. This is unique. The only other synth I can think of where you can pick the vowel sounds is Native Instruments Razor. So yeah, you've got 3 different vowels, left, a middle and a right. You can choose R, E, O, U and U. Sounds silly, but it's exactly what it does. It does exactly what it says on the tin. This slider is exactly how you would imagine it. You can either have it all the way to left to one sound. You can blend between the 2 or blend between the 3 to get the synth talking. It's going to be really useful for the dubstep guys or people making electro, complextro. Those vowely sounds are what people want. So yeah, that's it. Again, the controls real basic, real straightforward. Choose your vowels, choose where you want it. You can modulate this. You've got 3 different slots here. It can be modulated with 3 different things at once. You've got a mix and an output. The output and the mix work exactly how you would think. The mix is like a dry, wet, full mix. Without any mix at all, you're not going to hear it. I've found personally playing around with this, you don't generally want to go above sort of 60%. Just boost the output if you want to hear it more. Yeah, that covers the mouth filter. Next we've got a basic filter section. You've got a choice between a standard filter. You've got all the basic options. You've got a low pass with a steeper ramp, like a 24 dB per octave, a bandpass, a steeper bandpass, a high pass, and a steeper high pass. All real basic, resonance and a cutoff as you would expect. You've also got the choice of a dual filter. You've got a choice whether they run in serial or parallel, which is a real neat trick. I'm a massive fan of this. You can get some real unique sounds with parallel filters. Also with serial, you can control which the general output of the filter. In parallel, I take it goes into filter 1, then into filter 2. Got the same choice of all the filter modes for each filter. These 6 boxes correlate to filter 1, these to filter 2. So you can have 2 pair of bandpass filters. To modulate, play around, control with as you want, independently of each other. You can have them in parallel, so equal amount of signal going into both filters, or in serial where it goes into filter 1, then into filter 2. Okay, that covers the dual filters. Fuzz distortion, exactly what it says. You've got, this is like a distortion section or a shaping section. You could choose another mouth filter here if you wanted. Oh, I didn't realise that. So yeah, you've got the choice of all of these options in either that box above and below the filter. So we've got a mouth filter. I'm not going to go into all of these. Fuzz distortion, overdrive, all with real basic controls, but again, all modulatable. Parametric EQ, this is neat. You've only got 2 pair of EQs you can control, but this F1, G1, Q1, F2, G2 and Q2 is a frequency, gain and Q for each one of these peaks or troughs. So again, all modulatable. It's going to be good for getting some nice sort of growly sounds out of this as well later on. You've got a shelving EQ, as you would imagine, phasing filter, exactly what it says on the tin, a bit crusher, and a ring modulator. I'm not going to explain what ring modulation is because it'll just boggle you if you're new to synthesis. Suffice it to say, with a very low frequency rate, you can get some stuttering, buzzing effects. Very high one, you're going to get some grainy, distorted sounds. Yeah, then you've got a general output button. This already has a little green dot in it. That assigns to this, which means the envelope 1 is automatically assigned to your output level. Every synth automatically has a envelope assigned to the output. In this one, no different. It's envelope 1, or this green one at the top here. So once we've done that, we then go across to the modulation modules. There are 5 slots. 5 slots. Each one of them can be changed individually to either one of the modulation sources that you've got. You've got envelopes. I like these envelopes a lot. You haven't got any dials with attack, decay, sustain and release. You just click on the one you want, drag it around. If you want more of attack, drag it to the right. You want a longer decay, drag it to the right. Shorter decay, bigger sustain. You get the idea. A lot of synths are going this way now, like in Serum, where you can just drag the envelopes around. Native Instruments FM8 had this ages ago. Again, big fan of it. It's easier for people to visualise what they're doing when they're dragging the points around, rather than just having knobs or dials or sliders. So yeah, you've got envelopes. The LFO section's pretty neat as well. You've got the choice of 2 waves, as like the LFO you have inside Massive. You can choose these waves. Some neat little shapes in here. You've got the basic ones. You've got saw down, saw up, a square. There's no real... Oh, there's a sine wave. So yeah, you just pick which one you want. 2, top or bottom. You can either have just the one, top or bottom, or a mixture of the 2. Neat for getting... If you pick some of these crazy shapes, you can get make some real interesting shapes. A blend between the 2, sort of fuzzy half moon LFOs. You've got the LFO rate, the LFO level, which is the volume of the LFO. You can sync it to the master clock. Retrigger resets it every time a note is pressed or another MIDI note comes in. I'll just assign this quickly to a filter cut off so you can see the effect it has really quickly. So yeah, the rate, we're synced to the clock, so it shows you the divisions in time divisions. 2 BPM is half a beat. It's really basic stuff again. It's really intuitive though, very, very easy to use. In these modulator sections, along with some of these mouth filter sections, you've got the option to save your presets or save the LFO setups that you get. Or they also give you some presets how they think that you would use. I haven't really been through any of them personally, but yeah, that basically covers the LFO. You got a sequencer. This is exactly how you would think it. It's bipolar. The modulation up does it right, down does it left on these little knobs that you drag and drop to. You got the rate again, smooth it out, sync and retrigger, same as the LFOs. I'll just talk about the drag and drop modulation quickly before we go too further. All of these have got a different colour, all these 5 different modules. If you want to modulate anything, all you do is click on the little green dot, everything lights up. You see those little grey dials that pop in and out? That shows you what can be modulated. So if I wanted this step sequencer to modify the cut off, just drag it, drop it, it's already on there. You get the general idea. It's a real basic step sequencer, but again, basic is good. The controls are ever so easy to use. The sync button syncs it to the host. What more do you need? Not a lot. So yeah, you got the 5 modules, all of them exactly the same. So you could have 5 envelopes if you want, 5 LFOs or 5 sequencers, all running independently of each other, all modulating pretty much anything you want. So as for the basic front panel, that is it done. We'll go to the effects section in a bit. The sound section, we'll talk about that quickly. If you want to browse for any sounds, it is done very, very logically. You can choose bass, high bass, and then it's got this nice style category from the 70s to 2010. If you want a modern bass, we've got a bro step hit. You can see what sounds this thing is going to be capable of, pretty much anything if you get into grips with it. So yeah, there's all the different categories: bass, drums, piano, organ, lead, pad, mixed. all the different types. You can mix and match them. The more categories you put in, you're generally not going to come up with many results. But yeah, real straightforward. You can save all your patches to here and browse for them later on. You go to the keyboard section. This is where you find the arpeggiator. Click it, turn it on, as you would imagine. Let's initialize this again. Turn the arpeggiator on. Sync it to the clock again. You got your rate, note length. Shift is the number of octaves it goes through. And swing. So real straightforward. Basic arpeggiator. You're going to use it if it's there, definitely. This keyboard section there. This correlates to keyboard tracking. You've got two separate keyboard tracking lines that you can use. One is your basic C nothing to C8 parallel line, which is what I generally use if I use keyboard tracking. Again, everything is drag and droppable. You can use keyboard tracking to pretty much everything. It's already on the coarse pitch, as you would imagine, for every oscillator, which means as you play up the keys, it's going to play the notes higher. As I say, two independent ones. You can draw these shapes any way you want. You could have a reverse one and then drag the keyboard 2 to somewhere else. Individual glide times between the two keyboard modes, and a velocity. I'm yet to find any modulation destinations for a mod source as a mod wheel or aftertouch or anything like that. I'll get in touch with the guys over at FAW, see if that's something they've got planning in the future, or whether I'm just missing it, I'm not sure. But velocity is there to be played with. Again, just drag and drop the velocity. The bend is the pitch bend range for the velocity. Again, real straightforward. This is the global section. Let's turn the arpeggiator off. You got the choice of polyphony. I always just crank it up to full in case. And let's have it on 1 if you're making a monophonic patch. Have it on full. Unison. Detune. It's a real nice deep global detune. It goes all the way up to a full cent. You got a choice of legato mode as well, just click it on or off. So real basic. You got the host sync is on by default, preset BPM at 120. If the host sync's on, it bypasses that. It just automatically syncs the clock to your host, whether you're using Ableton, Logic, whatever. It'll automatically sync it to your host BPM. What else are we? Modifiers, yes. Preserve levels, yes. Range. Oh, this is the randomized section. I haven't looked much into this yet. I'll probably leave that be. I'll probably write a bit in the description when it gets posted up on YouTube, just so you can. I think it's just pretty much just click. If this is turned on, it automatically randomizes these parameters at a range that you set. Every time you click it. Turn some lights on, it's getting dark. Yeah, randomised function. It was a neat little section in NI Massive. Again, this one's everything in this is so. I don't want to use the word basic because it's a real neat trick, and it's really drawing me to this synth. Everything is laid out so simple, but yet it can do everything that you need. So yeah, settings, that's it, covered as say. Effects, I've been really impressed with these effects. Let me turn the G-tune off. Turn the polyphony down to 1 again. Just so you can hear the effect that these effects have. So yeah, the effects section, you've got 3 separate effects bays, if you want to call them that. You've got a choice of phaser, reverb, echo, double echo, ping pong echo. The echo, if you can imagine these like in Ableton, this is like your ping pong delay, pretty much. 1 delay line. Double echo is like a double, like your simple delay. You got 2 delay lines. You can independently do the delay time. Sync it to the clock again. You're generally going to be having a 2 and a 4. Feedback, low cut, high cut. So again, mix the wet and the output knob again. The phaser is real nice. This is the LFO shape for the modulation. Generally going to have it on a sine wave if it gets a bit jumpy, but yeah, I like that. You very often get the choice of which wave you want to be the modulation source for the phaser. Real good quality effects these are. I won't go into them. The chorus was very nice. Same again, choice of waveform for the modulation in the chorus, the phasing of the delay times, panner. Remember that pans the whole patch. Bear with me. If you have the mix on full, it pans the whole patch. Neat to get an LFO on that if you're doing some dubstep sound design. Panner, bucket delay. Don't know what this is. No idea, it just seems a real basic delay to me. The only control you've got is a feedback. Tube distortion is what you would affect. The reverb was quite nice. Reverb size is modulatable. Every single effects bay is the same. You've got the choice of all the effects, so you could have 3 different delays on there, all with different times, all with different mixes, phasing in and out of each other. You get the gist. A lot of modulation capabilities. This control section refers solely to the CC input. If you can map parameters and MIDI learn stuff, I think it comes up in here. You can connect, disconnect. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into this. I am just going to now start making some sounds. I hope that covers everything for you. I didn't want to dwell too long on the overview. I'm sure there's a lot of other videos on here that cover it in more detail. As I say, there'll be a link in the description when this goes up on YouTube to their website where you can download the manual. If you're going to buy this and check through it yourself. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and initialize this now. And make some patches. Let's try and get something gritty going on with these wavetable oscillators. So we'll choose a wavetable oscillator. We'll choose some waveforms with some nice harmonics in. Choose another one that looks quite nice. There was one here that looked like a virusy sort of square. This one here. Let's try and find something a bit more fuzzy again. So yeah, straight away think, right, we want to modulate that. We'll pick an envelope. The green one's already modulated to the master pitch, so not master envelope, so you don't really want to be messing around with that. So we'll go for envelope 2. We'll click it on, drag it, drop it to the modulation destination. It starts at the top, full. We want it to modulate all the way to the bottom. You can see with that little white dot what it's doing. As in Serum, it shows you the speed that the envelope's working through. Seems to be having the effect that I want. Am I doing something wrong? Probably just the attack time was too slow. Let's try again. We'll get there. We'll apply another oscillator now. We'll try another wavetable oscillator. Just pick another two waveforms at random. That one's a bit too 8-bitty for me. That's a nice one. Let's use this same envelope to push that down. Doesn't seem to be doing it right, does it? I'm obviously doing something wrong. Surely if I want that envelope to do that, I'll just drag it until I want it to go down. Can't get that to sound right. I know what I'm doing. Take it, these three destinations are all the same. Doesn't matter what point the wavetable starting position is, it doesn't seem to be. Oh well, we'll try something else now. We'll apply this mouth filter. Use this same envelope again. I've just worked out why. If that was at the bottom, that's going to drag that all the way to the top. There we go. It doesn't start there. This modulation doesn't start from the point at where it is. And that's always going to drag it down. oscillator just as a sine wave, quite low, just to boost up the lows. Bring in a bit of feedback. Maybe not, too much feedback can give you feedback. Okay, let's try an LFO on the cutoff for that bandpass filter also. Let's apply keyboard tracking to the LFO rate. So the higher up we go, the faster it goes. Again, doesn't seem to be doing nothing. Gonna have to have a chat with the lads about how this destination amount works. Let's go into the keyboard. Let's just mess around with a note, isn't it? Let's go for keyboard 2 instead. You can hear that now. The higher the note, the faster the LFO. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. Okay, let's try and apply some basic effects. Let's get a phaser on it. Let's apply this LFO to the cutoff of the first one as well. Let's give it some unison. What other effects can we apply? Let's try a chorus. I did like that when I was playing around with it earlier. Make some real nasty pads. Yeah, let's have a go at making some basic sounds, like a couple of plucks or whatever. You can go away. Let's get some. Let's get a plucky airwave. Let's try and make a real nice sort of saw pluck, trancey pluck. Apply an envelope to the filter. There we go. Lovely responsive envelopes, that's what you want. Get a kick in there. We'll just carry on making a quick little beat just for half hour. Why not? Vengeance sound, club sound, bass drums, trance kicks. Make a pad quick as well. Some nice moving pad with the wavetable oscillator. Just following the same progression as the pluck. It's very minimal CPU as well, this, which is good. Oh, that's not making any noise. We'll try again. It's registering the MIDI, but it's not showing any output. Why, when I change it to new, does it make no noise? Oh, very weird. Let's turn on the virus, turn off the push in case that's having something to do with it. Why is that doing that now? Nothing to do with push anyway. It's receiving the MIDI. It's not channeling the output. What is that? All ins, all channels, auto master. All ins, all channels, auto master. Circle 2. No sound. There we go. God knows what was wrong with that. So yeah, we'll just quickly mess around with these MIDI notes again. Let's make a little trance gate effect using the LFO. LFO, turn it on. We want this to go to oscillator 1 output, negative. Want it to be a saw up. Actually, let's do a step sequencer. Yeah, that's what I wanted. Took me a bit longer than I thought. Keyboard settings, more voices. That's what we're going to do. We're going to use an LFO to do that. We're going to use a triangle LFO. I'm going to sync it to the clock. We're going to get it modulated in this wavetable. There you go, real basic little beat thing going on there. I really need to get my grips around that modulation. I can't work out which way the destination's going. I'll have to read the manual through properly. As I say, not bad for only having it for an hour. As I say, it's a testament to how good a job the blokes over at FAW have done. How simple it is, how easy it is to work your way around. Yeah, it's going to be a dream when I get used to it. But yeah, once again, thanks for them for letting me have a copy of this. There'll be many more tutorials to come with this. But for now, that's it. Check me out on Facebook and Google+. It's Sound Design Tutorials. You need to subscribe to me on my Facebook or my Twitter account. There's a link in the description if you want to join me on these live streams where I did this. But for yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Cheers.